You're watching ATN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video we're going to review, yes, Avengers Age of Ultron. Literally just walked through the door from seeing the movie. Lots of fun. Fantastic movie. I mean, what else can you say? Fantastic movie. There's some things about this movie that were much better than the first one, and there's some things about this movie that just can't top the first one. In terms of what it can't top is the novelty. The first time you see them together in that first movie is just an incredible feeling that you don't really get this time around. I didn't. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean the movie sucks or anything like that. Let's not get crazy. But it's just, it's tough to top. It really is. But what this movie does better is establish a solid story and flesh out key characters that were ignored in the first movie. Most notably, Hawkeye. Hawkeye has such a major role in this movie that it was so nice to see him, the focus on him, not only out there doing all the action and shooting his arrow, but we get to know him on a personal level. And that stood out to me in a major way. And so Hawkeye fans, I feel, will be very, very happy with the character in this film. Another character that got fleshed out a lot was Black Widow. We got to see a little bit of her past, and it's not that she really needed to be fleshed. I mean, we've seen her in so many other, Winter Soldier, the other Avengers, some of the Iron Man movies, but it was nice to see a lot of the things that she alluded to throughout some of the other movies when she's talking about her past. Now, one thing I mentioned in one of my March videos was talking about Thor and how his role would be in this movie. And his role was significant in a sense of what Thor Ragnarok is going to bring to the table. And I believe that Thor, he's finally starting to see something develop that the others have no idea about because they're not from Asgard. They're not from off-planet. So it was very nice to see him as a key component to some of the things to come in the future. So, and one of the things that made me very happy was this wasn't about Iron Man. As much as he is the center point of the story in the sense that he is involved with the creation of Ultron, it's not about him. It's fairly about everybody. And it's not just him that creates Ultron. Bruce Banner is also very much involved. And, Captain, it's amazing seeing the relationship between Captain and Tony, because one minute these guys get along they're like this. They're tight. And then the next minute they're bickering and they're arguing. And to see that kind of relationship progress through the movie really gives you an indication of the kind of passion and conviction that both these men have about the things that they believe in. And that is where this conflict comes in. They both want to do good. They both have a good idea of what it takes to protect innocents, stuff like that, but they're taking two very different approaches. One takes a very straight path and is straightforward and will grind it out to save people. The other one's looking for a shortcut. One way works, one doesn't. You guys don't have to guess who it is. You know what I'm referring to. And that does indeed set the tone for what I think we could expect in Civil War. It's just really, really good. The relationship with Black Widow and the Hulk, it seemed odd to me in the early set. But then as they started to focus on those two characters more, you can understand why they grew a bond. You can understand why Hawkeye and Black Widow never got together. And without spoiling it, you'll find out why in this movie. You understand why Cap and Black Widow never got together. And you understand why why Black Widow and Bruce Banner have this connection. And it makes perfect sense. As odd as it looks, because it seems like it's out of the blue, it makes sense. It actually makes the most perfect sense you could ever think of. Now, the twins were phenomenal. They were great. Honestly, Elizabeth Olsen was great in this movie. And for those who might have wanted to see more of her in Godzilla 2014, they more than compensate in the Avengers. She is extremely powerful. She is powerful. I love the fact that they didn't really water her down from the comic book. In a comic book that she has the potential to be extraordinarily powerful. You see that same very potential in this movie, which makes it very good. And I was very happy about that. I really do like some of these more traditional Avengers like Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, that whole story arc from the comics when they were running with Magneto for a while, then they joined the Avengers. Now, Vision. Let's talk about Vision. You'll hear a lot of other reviewers saying how Vision stole the show and this and that. He definitely was incredible. He was. And the look was sleek. I mean, so much like the comic. It's such a joy to see them put in such an effort to keep the characters looking like they do in the comics without it looking too campy. If anything, the one person who stands out, who you could argue is campy, would be Thor. Thor the most. Even Cap's outfit from the first Avengers through Winter Soldier and now Avengers has really toned down a little bit from the campiness to something that's a little bit more realistic, where it's just body armor and the stars and stripes, you know what I mean? The colors of the United States. He's Captain America. But it's very, very, toned down. It's enough so you know that's Cap, but it's not out there like the first outfit that was all blue and all this. So, but, at the same time, you understand why Thor looks like that. He's from Asgard. He's not from Earth. Those are the clothes he wears. There was a lot of setup in this movie for what's coming. I think we could all expect that, but they did such a good job, I think, of putting it in there cohesively so that it doesn't feel forced down your throat, in my opinion. We all know about the vibranium. We all know about, Black Panther's coming. And you get enough of that little piece of his world in this movie, but it's not overdone. It's not forced down your throat. We see other things coming. Obviously, there's no direct setup for Civil War, but there's things that occur where you're like, yeah, we're going to see more of that in Civil War. And finally, by the end of the movie, you're going to get an idea of who's going to take the helm in this Avengers team. You're going to get an idea of some of the characters that are going to take the place of some of the characters we may not see anymore, referring to Iron Man, Thor, possibly Cap. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell right now. But it was very, very cool. There's some things that come out of nowhere you don't expect. I don't want to spoil it. Some people come in and help that you don't expect. They're not the obvious people. And there's this one scene with Vision, Thor, and Iron Man that is it just looks beautiful. It is phenomenal. You'll know the scene when you see it. I'm not going to even hint at what it is. In terms of the teamwork and the cohesiveness, when the Avengers are on, they're on. I mean, they work together. Cap is just, he is so far and above, beyond what he was in the first event. Even in the Avengers movie, like, the things he does now compared to what he did in the first Captain America movie and the Avengers, I mean, his shield was all over the fucking place. His shield was like the number one weapon for the team to use. And if any way possible you could think of his shield being used as an offensive weapon, it was used. It was just incredible. And he held his own much more in this movie than he did in the first. His fight scene with Ultron was incredible, and it wasn't a one-sided fight. They were exchanging blows equally back and forth. And, it's funny, him and Ultron, Captain Ultron, as well as Iron Man and Ultron, had very good one-on-one fight scenes that were great. I mean, it's a fun movie. There's no other way to look at it. It doesn't give that same giddiness that you got in the first movie, but what they did to compensate that was give you a more established storyline. They established the characters a lot better in this movie, especially the ones that we missed out on in the first one. And, of course, they're setting up their universe. There's some things in this movie that are finally acknowledged that we haven't heard acknowledged before, and that's really, really kind of gets you revved up, because now you're like, all right, we're getting there. We're getting closer to the end game of what the MCU wants to plan. Overall, it's a fun movie. They did an excellent job considering the amount of characters that are in this movie. And yes, there are some people, or I don't want to spoil it, but there are some people who show up at the end that you wouldn't expect. It's not Spider-Man. Don't get crazy. It's not Spider-Man. I don't want to get people all worked up. But there's some people who show up at the end that it adds to the number of Avengers in terms of, how many people are fighting. But they do a good job of working it all together where it's not an overly long movie. It doesn't feel crowded, even though it looks like it should, because before it gets to that end point of the movie, they've already done such a good job establishing all the characters that are working together at the very climax of this movie. Just a phenomenal movie. I don't want to give anything away. It's the best I can do in terms of a review without really spoiling a lot of things. But my best recommendation, go check out the movie. You're not going to not have fun unless you're either a Marvel hater and you want to criticize it to the world, or you just, I don't know. If I'm going to criticize this movie, it's because maybe I didn't see enough vision. But even that is a very lackluster criticism, because you get to see quite a bit of him. Even though he's not in the whole movie, you get to see quite a bit of him. He does his thing It's very fun to see, and you get an indication of just how powerful he is. He is no joke. Him and Scarlet Witch are no joke. Oh, and one final thing I want to say, especially for those who've watched the channel for a while and remember when I started talking about Age of Ultron way back last year, I did a video on the Vision and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And if you're familiar with the comic, you know that the Vision and Scarlet Witch have a relationship. They're actually married in the comic, or at least at that point when it came out, they were. And one of the things I speculated was, or asked, was whether or not we were going to see something like that in this movie. Well, you guys can judge for yourself, but they definitely put enough in this movie to give you an indication that there's going to be a bond between both of them. And whether or not they expand from there, that's up to them. And Quicksilver was great. He had one of the best shining moments at the end. And, you know, he didn't have an epic scene like Quicksilver did in X-Men, but he had a lot of good scenes. He had a lot of contribution. And he caused havoc sometimes, but he had a lot of good, like, there's that one big scene versus all his little solid scenes. So when you kind of add it up, it's almost equal. And Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen did a fantastic job with their accents. I thought they were fine. There was nothing bad about them. James Spader was fantastic as Ultron in terms of voicing him and his mannerisms. And of course, the team of the Avengers was just a lot of fun to watch. It's a great movie. They did a fantastic job, and I'm looking forward to the next few. So we'll see, you know. So share in the comments below. Have you seen Avengers? What did you think? That's it. And I am going to go see it again. I do want to see it again. Anyway, guys, that's it for this review. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching ETN. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. Join the nation's Facebook page to meet other subscribers or visit ETN's Facebook page and Twitter page. Links for all are in the description. You're watching ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video we're going to review, yes, Avengers Age of Ultron. Literally just walked through the door from seeing the movie. Lots of fun. Fantastic movie. I mean, what else can you say? Fantastic movie. You know, there's some things about this movie that were much better than the first one, and there's some things about this movie that just can't top the first one. In terms of what it can't top is the novelty. The first time you see them together in that first movie is just an incredible feeling that you don't really get this time around. I didn't. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean the movie sucks or anything like that. Let's not get crazy. But it's just, it's tough to top. It really is. But what this movie does better is establish a solid story and flesh out key characters that were ignored in the first movie. Most notably, Hawkeye. Hawkeye has such a major role in this movie that it was so nice to see him, the focus on him, not only out there doing all the action and shooting his arrow, but we get to know him on a personal level. And that stood out to me in a major way. And so Hawkeye fans, I feel, will be very, very happy with the character in this film. Another character that got fleshed out a lot was Black Widow. We got to see a little bit of her past, and it's not that she really needed to be fleshed. I mean, we've seen her in so many other, you know, Winter Soldier, the other Avengers, some of the Iron Man movies. But it was nice to see a lot of the things that she alluded to throughout some of the